Team Liquid have always they've always knocked us down a little bit, especially when we scrim them. So going to the match, I think we have nothing to lose. So maybe that'll help us. It's just always a mess when we play them. So I'm kind of excited. I think it'd be really fun to beat them because I think that would just confuse them, if anything. It's going to be a fun match, though.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Game 3 of the day, Clutch Gaming versus Team Liquid. You just heard from Apollo, excited about the potential of this one. I'm Clayton, Captain Flowers Reigns, and if you need your supply of red, white, and boom this 4th of July, hit up my co-caster, Mr. Aiden Zyrene Moon.
How you doing, Clayton?
We're sitting here with the Rift Rivals Trophy, a wonderful showcase of North America's superiority to EU. It's 4th of July week. We got all sorts of patriotism going on right now. It's going to be a fantastic time, Zyrene. Let's see what North America's made of.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, this trophy will be staying here throughout Rift Rivals and afterwards. So
all the way. But for now, it's time to roll right into the roster rundown. Selecting the blue side, we have Clutch Gaming. In the top lane, it's Solo. In the jungle is LirA. Mid, Febiven. Bot, Apollo. Support, Hakuho. And Coach D-Lin.
And that means facing them on the red side, it's Team Liquid. In the top lane, Impact. In the jungle, Xmithie. Mid laner is Pobelter with bot Doublelift and support Olleh and Coach Kane.
Now, yesterday, Team Liquid entered a battle for first place and promptly smashed Echo Fox in style to earn their spot at the top.
Yeah, you talk about they smashed them in style. They aggressively punished Echo Fox and won in 22 minutes and 17 seconds. One of the fastest games of the entire split. And a lot of that snowball came from the bottom lane of Doublelift and Olleh, who are meeting the expectations people had for them when you heard that TL was going to pick up a Doublelift Olleh bottom lane at the beginning of the year. They look in perfect form, and especially in time for Rift Rivals.
Absolutely, but they will face off against Apollo and Hakuho here today, who fell short in a crazy back-and-forth game against 100 Thieves just yesterday.
Yeah, the game came down to those tense moments that just didn't go their way. Even after Hakuho stole the Baron to keep them in the game, this veteran duo has to put a stop to the TL bottom lane in this game, who want to come off of this game looking like, I talked about that top form for them, continuing that top form as they go into Rift Rivals against international competition.
They will have their work cut out for them, though. I mean, we mentioned the battle at the top. Team Liquid versus Echo Fox, these two teams that seemed like they were standing out going into yesterday's match, and then to win that in 22 minutes makes you a force to be reckoned with. Coming into this game here today, Team Liquid 4-1 right now. Clutch Gaming sitting on 2-3. Would love to make that an even record here at the end of week 3, but it's quite a mountain to climb to do it.
They'd also love to confuse Team Liquid.
Right, that was Apollo's goal.
That's never what you want to hear. Is we get smashed in scrims all the time to the point where it's a little hopeless, and if we beat them, they would be confused. So Clutch Gaming, they have actually been that team throughout their kind of inception where they will upset people above them in the standings. They will be the kryptonite of teams like TSM. And for Team Liquid, Clutch Gaming, they're a team that could throw some curveballs here. You never know what's going to happen because all these players have fired off and been very, very good to the point where people say, they're underrated, right? LirA came in, his first split was incredible. Apollo, Hakuho, constantly we're talking about how they're underappreciated or underrated. And Solo is one of the best top laners in terms of using teamfight ultimates. And Febiven, of course, this guy, pretty much his last split, he was carrying a lot of the games from Clutch Gaming. And so he's kind of fallen off the radar of being one of the best mids in the league, but he still has the potential.
And one of the situations where you see Febiven's strong back showcase the hardest is with those Raven wings coming out of it, the Swain already locked in for the side of Clutch Gaming. Of course, in this day and age, the meta is flexible. What you do with a pick like that can vary, but we have seen the Clutch Gaming mid laner truly shine on that champion many times before. Would not be surprised to see him on it here again.
You want to talk about people shining on certain champions. Olleh and Morgana locked in for Team Liquid. Morgana has actually jumped up as one of the most banned champions on patch 8.12. Is actually the 5th most banned champion, tied with Aatrox. So she has gained a lot of popularity. She's very good in funnel compositions. You can run her in the mid lane as well, and she's flexible. But I assume it's going to Olleh here because that bottom lane has so much pressure. And we're at the point now in League of Legends where there are just too many good champions. The bans don't cover everything.
Right.
Kai'Sa is still up. Aatrox is still up. There's a lot of champions here that you can pick from in this pool, and I like what they've selected so far. For Solo, he's gotten himself, For Febiven, they've gotten themselves that mid laner that you talked about where he's very good on it, but then they've gone comfort here across the board for pretty much everybody else.
Yep, they've got the Lucian and the Zyra picked up for the side of Clutch Gaming. The other pick, along with that Morgana in Liquid's first rotation, was the Trundle. Grabbing that one to make sure that you've got the ability to sap the tank stats, as well as have a powerful early dueling jungler, along with those ganks with the pillar, which we've seen already to some incredible effect so far here today. Team Liquid still thinking about what they want to lock in here, and it will be Yasuo.
Ooh, I want to see where this goes because Yasuo, triple flex pick here, top mid and the bottom lane is where he can end up going, and we still haven't seen a clear top laner or a clear mid laner here for Team Liquid, as well as a clear bottom laner. So it does have that flex potential coming in here. And now Clutch Gaming, this really messes with your bans coming into the second phase because now you're pretty much going, we should probably ban like Dr. Mundo and Aatrox because having that in the composition, but maybe Kai'Sa. So if you're going strictly by tier list, it's potentially Aatrox, Kai'Sa as your bans here. But now you're just kind of shooting around the map, trying to find something that you can ban and whittle that pool down.
They will ban out the Ornn on the side of Clutch Gaming. Totally understandable. The ultimate and incredible team fighting tool, especially when paired with Yasuo. You're able to set up quite a lot of initiations for that ultimate. The response from Team Liquid, or rather the setup from Team Liquid, they're banning yet another jungler. Taliyah and Nocturne banned out in that first set of bans. Already starting off the second set here with Skarner. Going to follow up with Aatrox.
Yeah, Aatrox ban away here because the Ornn, the Skarner is mostly comfort towards LirA because he's been gravitating towards Skarner as his comfort pick because he's just been a little uncomfortable in general this split. Okay, I see for you the Skarner comfort pick makes a lot of sense.
For LirA, it is one he's defaulted to quite a few times, even in compositions where it might not seem the strongest, but he won't be able to do that this game, and Clutch decides they will not allow impact onto the Singe.
Yeah, I actually really like Clutch's bans when I was a little confused coming into it because of tier lists where Aatrox is very powerful, Kai'Sa is very powerful, but banning away those two very good champions from impact makes a ton of sense here.
Team Liquid thinking about the Ezreal
Wow.
for the marksman pick, and that's what they're going to go with. Doublelift on that means that the Yasuo will not be heading into bot lane, most likely.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because Kai'Sa is still on the board, and Kai'Sa may go unpicked or banned in this game unless Clutch is going to throw a curveball and go something like Kai'Sa Braum here, and then run a funnel strategy with a Kai'Sa. That would be the only way that you can kind of fit her into this composition.
Doesn't look like that's the case now, as with Zhao locked in, you're looking at a much more standard approach to the game. Mundo will go into the top lane. That means Swain will be there in the mid lane for the side of Clutch.
Interesting. I like the Dr. Mundo, but up against the Trundle, it's very hard to get into these fights and actually be incredibly effective. And there's a lot of ways to actually get grievous wounds on this composition from Team Liquid. The thing that they have to watch out for on TL side, though, is over-indexing on physical damage versus a Mundo who will stack armor, because it becomes very difficult to kill him.
Now, the one saving grace they will have in a situation like that, as Kled is locked in as the answer to the Mundo, is the fact that Trundle does have one big target who he really wants to ult all the time. Trundle versus single main tank teams is a situation that that champion can really excel, can really shine. So as long as Trundle is able to subjugate that Mundo, you will see a reduction in his ability to be that, hey, I'm Mundo and I'm going to stack armor, have fun playing League of Legends.
Yeah, it becomes very difficult. And Kled for impact, this is a champion that's going to help this melee composition that has the Ezreal as the primary source of range damage get into the fights, because it's all about that initiation later on, getting the Trundle and getting the Yasuo to just rush in and get to that backline. Reaching a Zyra is very difficult, but then Kled makes it a bit easier with the ultimate there. This is the 5th game that Impact has ever played on Kled, because back when he was splitting time on C9 with Ray was the one who was playing the Kled.
Right, Ray was the sword, Impact was the shield. That was the whole dichotomy between the two, so Kled's much more of a sword type of champion when you think about which one of those two types he would fall into, but as we head into the Rift for this game, Team Liquid looking very strong right now. Worth pointing out that in their game yesterday against Echo Fox, again, one of the other top teams in the league, neither Pobelter nor Doublelift died a single time. Both of these carries putting up fantastic performances in their first game this week on the Ezreal, on the Yasuo. They hope to do it here again. We've seen Yasuo especially be one of those picks that either heaven or hell, he doesn't often stop somewhere in the middle.
Now as we get into it, I'm looking at this composition from TL. There's not a lot of wave clear here. If you fall behind or a Baron goes over to Clutch Gaming, you're going to be in a very rough spot. So I'm watching Doublelift and Olleh in the early parts of the game to make that lane happen against Hakuho and Apollo. We talked about how both these guys are looking in a pretty decent form coming in. And I want to see who gets the better of it here. But you also got to track LirA. LirA is kind of the X factor here. It's been pretty off, hit or miss, back and forth in his games. But the Zhao is pretty much a one-dimensional champion in what he wants to accomplish. So you'll know what LirA wants to do, and that'll be to find fights early and often.
LirA's struggles can be a little bit confusing too, especially when you remember the state of him as a player at the beginning of last year, especially Spring Split in 2017. As the root comes out, damage going down onto Hakuho is going to be forced to flash away immediately. Both summoner spells burned there. Olleh also barely getting himself away from this one, but still has flash to use. Very, very dangerous level 1 here for both sides.
Yeah, and now, if I'm Xmithie, I really want to start top side of the map, path down to the bottom side, go after that flashless Zyra early on in the game, and make sure that we can get a kill with the pillar. And that, I think, is what he's going to try to go for here. He goes for a leashless start on his top side. I assume it's top side into the bottom side of the map. There's already a ward down for him to check the scuttle on the bottom side if it gets taken, or if LirA goes for something early there. So the vision has been set up so that he can path to that side of the map.
Smart choice there from Xmithie, a player who's often been the brains of the operation on the different squads that he's been with. Always been one of the guys that you would look to help guide people along, make those decisions. And if he does end up setting this bottom lane ahead, well, that's just the perfect recipe for success as LirA heads topside, potentially looking for a cheesy level 2 gank, decides to double back and get a big old plate full of crab legs instead.
Yeah, might as well get the crab while you're here. It's very important to pick up one in the first 2.5 minutes of the game, or else you can actually risk the other jungler coming over to that side. And then you have to reward it as well, because these wards don't last forever in the bushes.
Early on, Trinket Wards actually have a pretty short duration on them. Febiven getting himself jumped on by Pobelter here, having to spin the exhaust very early on because Pobelter saw the opportunity to go in there, get aggressive at level 2.
Yeah, and Febiven just ate a lot of damage there because Pobelter had the Conqueror already stacked up, and that makes a big difference in those early trades. If you go in and the guy has Conqueror already ready to go, then you're very much so risking getting blown up or at least chunked out.
Yeah, the extra AD you get, the true damage conversion, just priming it on that minion wave is one reason why this is such an effective keystone for a lot of these melee champions. As bottom side, here comes that Xmithie gank that we were talking about earlier. Remember, no flash available on Hakuho. That's the target. They don't really care about Apollo here. The binding not going to find its way in, and Hakuho somehow manages to walk away because of that missed skill shot from Olleh.
Yeah, it's also the minion wave. Because Clutch Gaming had it pushed up, there's this cannon minion that's actually doing a lot of damage to Doublelift, where there isn't a cannon minion on the side of Team Liquid that is able to push back because it was already killed.
Nice escape there from Clutch Gaming, wiping a little bit of sweat off their foreheads from that one. Hakuho, very aware of just how vulnerable he is right now, but very thankful for the fact that that gank was not able to pay off. LirA now with double buffs on the Zhao. Remember, this pick, like you said, Zyra, it's very binary. You know what Zhao wants to do, you know what Zhao is capable of, and that champion wants to get ahead early. You can't just AFK farm on Zhao and have that be the game plan.
Yeah, you want to make something happen when you, especially when you have the red buff, and you want to go gank lanes very early on. So LirA might be looking for a lane gank here through the pushed up lane of Solo. He would be able to get into the second brush unnoticed, potentially the third if it gets pushed up further, but Impact I think is going to play safe. Impact is usually pretty keen to these types of ganks, and I mean, it's always been his style, right? The tank player who plays pretty risk averse and doesn't really go for what you would think he would go for. So he just tries to go for those really quick trades.
He's got a lot of minions.
The cannon minion though.
Pac does get himself jumped on, gonna be knocked off a Scarl there, sidesteps his way away from the cleaver. No issue, doesn't have to blow a summoner spell.
Oh.
Flash forward from LirA though, able to find the knockup, takes him down a little bit lower. Flash is coming out from both players on the side of Clutch Gaming. Impact has to respond with his own, but that's still a summoner spell gain overall for the side of Team Liquid as Xmithie passes his way up here now, ready to make sure that Impact will not stand alone.
Yeah, and now this is the time that you want to come in when the flash is down from Solo. LirA is there though to kind of counter. Impact almost remounted.
Impact just about ready to get that health boost. Solo could be in some trouble here, taking it back underneath the turret. First blood over to Team Liquid in the top lane.
And the turret drops aggro because the remount swaps over to Xmithie. He steps out as Impact gets dismounted, and then he can just queue away.
Very well played and orchestrated by this Team Liquid jungler and top laner to make sure they could come out on top in that 2 versus 2 Excellent recognition of the fact that both of those flashes were down, like you were saying. That's your chance to jump in there and make those plays happen. Stuff like that, those calls, that judgment, that's why Team Liquid is sitting as high in the standings as they are.
Yeah, and even if it's warded and they know it's warded, it's, hey, immediately walk in, puts the pillar down, and then Impact remounts, lands the bear trap on a rope, and Solo has no way to get away from that. And the turret, it just kind of looks like it just AFKs for a second. It doesn't know what to do when it's swapping between, honestly, 3 members, the dismount, back to the Trundle, back to the Kled, and it just does nothing for a good second there.
Team Liquid coming out on top in that one, almost 1,000 gold up now. That'll get even larger as Doublelift collects himself a Scuttle Crab on the bottom part of the map. Hakuho a little bit late to the party, just in time to see that crab put up its little feelers there in the river, providing vision for Team Liquid. Pobelter, level 6, going in here onto Febiven. Finds quite a lot of damage. Febby gonna go ahead, pop his own ultimate to respond. Pobelter now on the run.
Oh,
the wind wall, but he used it a little bit early. Febiven not finding the never move means POB lives to see another day.
Yeah, if he had actually landed that never move, because it looked like it was a predictive wind wall there from Pobelter. If that hit, it potentially would have been a kill there. But he makes it out. Gets the exhaust out of Febiven, so after everything's all said and done, it's actually advantage for Pobelter. He gets to farm up the minion wave that was under his turret. He forces Febiven back, and he doesn't have teleport. He has exhaust in this game, and already got the summoner spell. So Pobelter's actually looking clean. We talked about it at the start. Didn't have a death in their last game. So far, starting this game off well.
Solo and Impact still getting into that 1 versus 1 here on the top side. Solo taking quite a bit of damage, having to pop the ultimate to keep himself in a decent enough state. Impact very close to losing Skarl here, but still can just strut himself over to the river, clear out some vision if he needs to. There you go. Pink ward already out of there. Team Liquid looking good so far. Pobelter on this Yasuo, remember, this is one of the picks that Team Liquid played back at MSI a bit and did not have success with. Pobelter on this champion just wasn't putting up the kind of performances the team needed, but now it looks like they're comfortable enough with him on that champion to play it here in the regular season for Summer Split, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job with it so far.
Yeah, there isn't too much pressure on him in this composition early, because you're going to have Doublelift scaling with the tier. You're going to have the Kled putting pressure on the mundo, and so he's already ahead in CS in the mid lane, and it looks quite good for Pobelter on this Yasuo, already starting it off well. And I actually think back to the draft, and the Trundle pick from TL very early on made a lot of sense because they had already locked into Swain for clutch gaming. One of the best combos is Swain plus Trundle. Pillar into the pull from the Swain is one of the most reliable things that Trundle can actually do in a game. So it's one of his best synergies. So I actually like that they took that away and put it on their side so they can actually help out the mid laner and also deny the combo from clutch.
Right. Not only is that combo so good on the Swain, it's one of the most common combos you see with Yasuo. The Pillar enabling that knock-up as bottom side, once again, LirA not going to find any successful way to gank this lane. 0, 0, and 0. 8 minutes into the game on Zhao. Not the kind of early performance you're looking for, as there comes your pillar and your ultimate. Immediately going to find the flash. And now they'll see if they can take down Febiven underneath the turret. Instead, they'll just get the stopwatch. But remember, that's a one-time use and a win for Team Liquid.
Yeah. Exactly like you were saying, they got the combo for themselves. The last breath comes off of it. They get the flash out of Febiven. They've been getting his summoner spells on cooldown. The exhaust twice, the flash once here. And Pobelter hasn't really blown anything in these exchanges. He's just waiting for the perfect opportunity. But now with the flash down, he has full pressure. He'll go up almost 20 CS in this lane in 9 minutes. And he's also going to secure them the blue buff. So Xmithie gets the invade and it works out.
Yeah, very good stuff from Xmithie so far. Up 200 gold on his opponent. He's been having more pressure. He's been making more things happen. It's still only a 1 kill to 0 game, so it's not like he's just running around the map racking up a body count, but he's building those small advantages. Summoner spells, pressure, priority, all these different words that we like to use to describe those leads that you can afford yourself in the laning phase. He's making sure his laners are getting them as Impact is sitting very comfortably here in this top side, just not really afraid of Solo's mundo much at all. He's got the Tiamat, he can shove the wave out very effectively. He's in a comfortable position.
Yeah, it means that the mundo just gets to be underneath the turret, and it comes down to, is Impact gonna roam mid ever and start using his ultimate to go onto the Swain, who no longer has stopwatch and no longer has flash? So securing the top side of the jungle is important here for Clutch Gaming, because they want to see if Impact roams with the Tiamat.
Rift Herald also coming online here in just a few seconds. So yet another neutral objective the teams could fight for if they get one of those roams. Find some sort of a pick, especially on to this mid laner who does have exhaust back up again. Important to remember that one in case Pobelter gets a little bit too big for his britches. With Flash still down, there's always the opportunity to look to make those plays. Bottom lane, level 6 available on both Team Liquid players. Hakuho still only at level 5 on the side of Clutch Gaming.
Yeah.
That big Zyra ulti not yet in the arsenal.
Yeah, it's gonna come up now, but yeah, he was forced back twice early. The level 1, so he's late to lane, and then the level 2 or 3 when Xmithie came down to the bottom side of the map. But now, it's gonna be Xmithie, speaking of being on the bottom side of the map, is gonna be able to use the pressure from both mid and bottom here.
I mean, when you've got both of those lanes shoved up this hard, it's perfectly free to take the Drake like this. We saw the vision as it switched over to show exactly what Clutch Gaming could see. They had no idea this was going on. There's no way to really move in and stop it. That's a freebie going the way of Team Liquid. And just more of those advantages they're building up here because of those small leads. Doublelift now going to take a lot of damage coming out from Apollo. Tries to get out.
He's going to get him, though.
Himself the hourglass, but it's not enough. The stopwatch, I should say, but either way, it's a black and white screen for Doublelift for the next 20 seconds. Good eye from Clutch Gaming there.
That is just the passive death right there. That wall to the left. That is where so many AD carries, so many bot lane players.
The AD carry graveyard.
Yeah, you get pushed there, and then you go, do I go to the right? Do I go to the left? And they make the wrong decision. But right here, TP's coming in behind. It looks like somebody's made the wrong decision here.
Clutch could be in a lot of trouble. Decide to turn it around. Instead, they go right onto Olleh. TP also going to be coming in to back them up. Pobelter getting himself away right back underneath the turret as Impact comes in. Looks to take down Hakuho. He'll find himself one. Apollo going to be the next one to fall as it's 2 kills going the way of Team Liquid now. Looking to make it even more. Pobelter dashing back in. Looking to find the knockoff. But a nice denial from LirA. Pobelter down to 150 HP. Likely not going to look for more in this fight.
But they might, because Swain is almost there. Febiven, it depends. No, he's actually going to roam back up after shoving the minion wave mid, because he's behind in CS, so he wasn't able to roam, was down in pressure. They went off his back timer, and now he's going to have to just shove the wave and be relegated to doing that.
All right, coming up with just a moment, we'll take a look at that one with the Acer Predator replay here to see how it all played out.
Oh, that right there, yeah. You go left, you go right, you got to pick one, and he goes to the right. E and Flash, neither of them end up working. Impact almost remounted though. He flashed away.
Just wants to buy a little bit of extra time, needs slightly more courage to get Skarl back. There you go. And now Solo realizes there's no way to fight this any longer. Has to get himself away back underneath the turret.
And Pobelter actually face checking. There's 3 people here.
Pobelter finds Febiven. He's saying, okay, I'm all right in this fight, but it's not just going to be this fight for much longer. Pobelter does use the last breath to get himself away. Olleh takes a lot of damage there from Apollo. A couple more auto attacks could seal his fate, binding onto the enemy AD carry. But it's still Olleh who finds himself in the dirt as now LirA looks to potentially finish off POB. Won't quite be able to find the damage.
But the turret, they get to pressure this turret. This may be first turret here going over to Clutch Gaming, which will give them a gold lead.
Massive gold influx coming from that one. They got 4 members here. They will be able to brute force that one down, and Clutch Gaming takes the lead off the back of a pick and a turret to back it up.
Team Liquid, off the death of Doublelift bottom lane, and that big fight that happened, they swapped Doublelift to top side, and he was kind of just running around there, whereas Apollo made way better use of his time. Went to the mid lane, started pushing whatever advantage he had with the Blade of the Ruin King Spike, and then they were able to make this happen in the mid. And now he gets to clean up the top side, because they had solo bottom the whole time. Just the map allocation here from Clutch Gaming off of that big kind of unexpected fight bottom is a little bit better than Team Liquid's here, because they get so much out of it. The flash, and we're going to watch the previous play one more time here. The flash forward from Olleh, he gets rooted, and so his ultimate really doesn't affect too many people, but the binding onto Hakuho prevents him from moving back further, and then Impact is going to be able to joust on him twice and pick him up there as Apollo gets picked up afterwards. And then this was very close to being turned around again. It was a good ultimate from LirA, but you want to see more of that from him because, like we said, it's been kind of a rough split for him.
Yeah.
And up against TL, Apollo saying he wants to kind of confuse them by winning. Right now, they're in a position to potentially do that in the future. And Solo,
remember, he's still got quite a lot of regeneration. Even though the ultimate only at level 1, Impact has no form of Grievous Wounds application just yet. That's a huge thing against Mundo. So as long as that's not on the table, Solo knows he can regenerate a bunch of health in these 1 versus 1s. Feels pretty comfortable still fighting up against this guy. Has the Ninja Tabby as well. Also worth noting, Stopwatch is available for Solo's Mundo. We've already seen a couple of those used so far this game. Febiven's already broken. You can see the same thing can be said for Olleh's. Doublelift making his way into the top side now, utilizing the TP to answer Apollo's push, as multiple members from both sides will hang around the Rift Herald. LirA will continue just holding the aggro on that one for now, still trying to secure that objective, but Team Liquid is right here.
Yeah, but Apollo had priority top side. Oh, it's going to reset.
Patience can be a real pain sometimes, as Clutch Gaming won't be able to secure that objective, but they will get the consolation prize of the Scuttle Crab instead. And Shelly's still mad.
Yeah. Just got to go get your waves now, because you're losing a wave topside. Apollo's going to have to go there. That gives Doublelift a few moments here to be 4v3 for Team Liquid. But just going back and forth between these waves, because now Doublelift has to go back up top, has to catch the wave. He's actually going to, he's going to E over the wall, and I like how Apollo went there, forcing Doublelift all the way around, because Apollo is stronger right now in terms of just straight up 1v1 power, and when Doublelift was clearing the ward in the pit, means he's saying, all right, you have to E to get over this wall, I'm going to be there to meet you, and forces him to lose the entire wave to the turret.
Apollo with that Blade of the Ruined King, Phage in the inventory. Pretty strong right now, as Rift Herald now going to be under pressure yet again. Clutch Gaming not willing to surrender this one. Really wanting to work on that. Xmithie nowhere nearby to try to stop this one. So Clutch Gaming have found their opportunity to punish Team Liquid for having that jungler back in the base, and they take the Herald. Yeah,
Xmithie backing means you get it for free at this point. And Xmithie picks up the components of the Knight's Vow to go ahead and protect people later in the game. I do want to see what ends up happening with the composition, though, because Solo, he's now stacking armor up. He has the Ninja Tabi, he has the Sunfire Cape, and he's just going to get more HP and more armor as the game goes further.
Remember, the only sources of magic damage, ooh, that's a lot of damage down into Hakuho, as now Apollo returns the favor onto Doublelift. Olleh now going to be the target. Apollo not afraid of these guys at all, having to back away to prevent the second part of the Morgana ultimate from proccing. Clutch Gaming, I really like seeing just how aware Apollo is of how much damage he can do. You can see they were talking about, I want to go back to what he said before the game, because he was talking about, oh yeah, we get smashed by them in scrims all the time. It would mostly just be confusing if we won. All these sorts of things that just kind of seemed like they weren't expecting to be able to find a win against Team Liquid. But Apollo's not playing like, oh yeah, these guys smash us all the time. He's got no fear against them. He's saying, oh, I know exactly how much damage my champion does. I know these thresholds, and I'm not afraid to fight back.
Man, he's actually doing so well this split in terms of his AD carry performance overall. We've seen kind of the gradual improvement of Apollo over the years, where he was kind of consistent back in the Wiz Fusion days. Then it just kept getting better and better, and now he's actually the kill leader in the LCS. Coming into this game, he was 2 kills up over Doublelift, who was right behind him. Now he's 4 kills up over Doublelift in terms of overall. And Apollo is showing that he understands when to be aggressive now. And that was always one of his biggest weaknesses, playing Caitlyn in the way back line, playing Varus in the back line. Now, playing somebody who's going to charge in a little bit, has to be kind of in this threat range, this kind of 500, 400 range to get maximum damage output. And seeing that he's navigating that perfectly is exactly how Apollo's kind of growth is being showcased here.
Clutch Gaming grab themselves an Earth Drake to answer that, which Team Liquid found earlier. Also going to go ahead, pop the Rift Herald here, trying to take this bottom lane tier 1 turret. Turret count is still 1-0 overall in the favor of Clutch Gaming. They'd like to take that up to a 2-0. They will do just that here. Shelly will continue her march, but most likely won't find a whole lot else. There are multiple Team Liquid members hanging out here to make sure she doesn't do any more damage. Solo moving back towards the top side. Level 11 now does have an even stronger ultimate for more regeneration in these fights.
Yeah, and the Rift Herald, it's really great to use as kind of a recall timer, but thing is she going to get another charge off? I think she might get another charge off here because they didn't finish her. Impact?
Oh, she 30 HP, but she still got the charge off, and that means almost half of the turret's health.
Oh, it's just big because they started using it for the recall timer, Clutch did, and then TL said, we don't want to have 2 people stop it. We're going to leave Olleh. Olleh leaves a little bit early to go to the top side of the map because he's not going to be able to recall after killing it, and it would just be Doublelift in a 1v2 for a certain amount of time for however long it takes for them to get Hakuho to the top side. So Clutch were using it for momentum in the game, and it actually worked out for them perfectly.
Doublelift, Olleh, and Xmithie all hanging out here around the tier 1 top side, wanting to defend this one. LirA ready to be the front line if they need it, while bottom side, the push continues for Team Liquid, who are finally able to get their first turret of the game thanks to Impact. Worth pointing out right now, he does have Executioners calling in the inventory for the Mundo, so that healing will have a source of grievous wounds to shut it down as long as Impact is able to apply that damage to Solo. These guys just keep dancing around back and forth top side, both sides looking for the pick, looking for the play that might start things off.
And this is just honestly a crazy match in terms of comfort picks too. Like, I'm looking at both supports, like these are their signature support champions. The Morgana for Olleh, the Zyra for Hakuho, and we're gonna see pretty much how they perform on these two, and this is one of those high pressure situations. There's the TP, it's early there from Impact.
Apollo getting himself caught out a little bit there by the last breath, but a good ulti from Hakuho to make sure that they can't continue to collapse on the side of Team Liquid. 2 health bars low on the side of TL, 1 on the side of Clutch Gaming, down to about half. Apollo will need to be very mindful of that positioning. Still has the flash available though. Clutch Gaming continuing to push up towards this one. Febiven, both summoner spells, ultimate, ready to rock in this one as Swain can be that massive team fight monster. We've seen Febi specifically on this champion decimate team fights, and Team Liquid decides they don't want anything to do with this fight any longer. They back up and concede the turret.
And that's the 3rd turret there for Clutch. They're going to get all of the outers, and that tier 2 in the bottom side is half HP. And so far, they've been doing great in terms of the siege game. They have better wave clear than Team Liquid, like we talked about at the start after champion select. And another thing that's going Clutch's way is just their pick potential and their disengage. Zyra, Zhao, great at disengaging, but also really good at picking champions off. If you land the Zyra route, you're going to have somebody get pulled in by the Swain. So it's almost that double whammy that's going to happen. And then you can divide them from their team even further with the Zyra ultimate, which really does kind of go against what Team Liquid wants to do. They want to have a fast engage. They want to use the ultimate from the Kled to get in there, get their Yasuo to the back line, and not have kind of these sieged out fights. They want to have a quick one fell swoop, get to the Zyra, blow her up. And I think Clutch Gaming's composition kind of counters that a bit here, or has a lot of tools to counter it. So it really is on impact, and also Olleh to navigate the fights perfectly in the engage portion.
And ever since we saw Clutch Gaming get ahead after the gold initially shifted from favoring Team Liquid early on in this match, it hasn't gone back the way of Team Liquid. Clutch Gaming hasn't lost their grip on this game so far. Granted, they're not running away with the game. This isn't a Clutch avalanche, but it is still controlled by them as Solo could be in some trouble now. Pops the ultimate, trying to escape away from impact here. Xmithie hanging around, going to turn this into a 2 versus 1. Solo still trying to get himself out of this one. Still regenerating, still walking away, and Mundo is so hard to deal with, but Clutch Gaming has said, all right, they're going to put 2 bodies on our top laner. Let's go ahead and put the remaining 4 onto the Baron. We'll see if Team Liquid can try to stop this. Baron going to be taken very, very low. No smite available to take it out, and LirA will secure that for Clutch.
And you know, there has been a little bit of that question of, can LirA still smite objectives? Absolutely.
There he did.
Still smite them.
He smited that Baron right down into the ground, and Clutch Gaming are now firmly in control. I was talking about how the gold lead was there, but it wasn't massive. This is your opportunity. You've got 3 minutes and 10 seconds to knock down some turrets, bulldoze some buildings, and get that lead up to a point where Clutch is now the ones calling the shots for the rest of the game, unless they make a big error.
And the fact that that wave clear super kind of non-existent for Team Liquid, they have to rely on just split pushing now. They're going to have to seed objectives or find that one good fight for them to counter this, because Clutch Gaming, with the Zyra, with the Swain, have so much wave clear available to them, and the Baron buff is going to make their minions harder to clear. That gank down bottom was not good at all. Xmithie doesn't.
That was not the call.
I mean, he doesn't even get to subjugate Solo in it and lower his resistances as he's stacking all of this armor, and now he has a Warmogs to boot. And Solo did a fantastic job of using the ultimate, the movement speed, and the tenacity to just run away and just get out of there and buy as much time as possible. And you can see that TL are saying, we can't really straight up fight Clutch Gaming, so we're going to try to pick people off in the side lane. And it backfired very heavily.
Now it's up to Clutch to find success with the Baron. I say this all the time when we see teams take Baron. It's not just getting the objective, it's translating it into more. You've still got all these tier 2 turrets left for the taking. You've got multiple lanes you can push. They are setting up themselves in a 1-3-1 right now. You can see jungler, support, and mid laner hanging out there in the mid lane, while Apollo pushes top, Solo pushes bottom. LirA is going to be face-checking this brush. He won't quite find himself punished just yet. Binding finds its way onto him, does still have the ultimate available to try to disengage this one. Zyra ulti comes through, Solo rotates his way over to the fight now as well. Olleh is going to be deleted, and Clutch Gaming pull Liquid's card and find 2.
And there goes, whoa, impact to the other side.
Just skating on through the fight right there, but it is a 3 versus 5 for Team Liquid. They do not want anything to do with that right now. Clutch Gaming continuing to push down mid lane. 5 men strong, minion wave here, ready to try to break this base wide open. Inhibitor turret number 1 under fire, as now it disappears into the ether. The inhibitor will join it soon thereafter, and Team Liquid have found themselves in a really rough spot.
The Baron went over. We saw a perfect use of it there. Clutch Gaming pushed all 3 lanes. Solo used his priority over Impact, who doesn't have TP, to roam mid, as Clutch used the fact that they had top priority from Apollo to go contest the red buff. So it was a pincer maneuver from both sides of the map to collapse on that location. And they got the fight that they wanted. They forced TL into a fight or they had to see multiple objectives. And it ends up, the fight goes to Clutch, and they have to give up these objectives.
You get the worst of both worlds, and it doesn't feel good. Clutch Gaming, though, got to be feeling fantastic. 5,000 gold up, another Drake under the belt, an inhibitor down. This is the control of the game you want to see yourself have 25 minutes in.
Absolutely for them. And Team Liquid, 4-1 coming in, sole possession of first place. Clutch Gaming, they've already upset TSM. They've already shown they have what it takes. Great follow-up there from LirA to get in there. The flash E into the W to finish off that kill, making sure nobody gets away and slowing a whole lot of Team Liquid.
I like LirA's build this game as well. A lot of times you see Zhao go for the Warrior into Trinity Force build. And although I almost feel a little bad saying this because Warrior Trinity Force is the trademark Chad Jungler build, sometimes you can forego the Trinity Force, go straight for the Sterix Gauge. He knows his job is to run in and not be dead.
Yeah.
Sterix Gauge is a fantastic item for making sure the second part of that statement reigns true. I like his adaptation. I like the fact that he's prioritizing the fact that he needs to just be the front line. Everybody else will take care of the damage. We've seen some questionable builds from different teams over the course of this split so far. Some strange decisions in the moment, and I think this is one of the right decisions coming out from Clutch Gaming's jump.
Another decision that's a little interesting as well is Solos. He's going for a magic resist item here against a composition that really doesn't pose much of a magic damage threat across any of their members. Potentially Olleh, but he's not building magic.
Subjugates magic damage, so
yeah,
there's that.
But I mean, it's going to do percent of your HP. Regardless, though, I think the reason he's doing it, though, is Spirit Visage for the healing multiplier, right? That's most likely why he's doing this here, so that he can be even more durable. I don't know if the math actually makes it so it's more durable than just buying a different armor item against this comp, but I do like it for the fact that it's going to give him the CDR, it's going to give him more in terms of healing, and it does cover another base just in case.
Speaking of bases, Team Liquid is going to get very familiar with the look of theirs over the next few minutes here as they are relegated to that top right corner of the map. Hakuho could potentially be very caught out here, thinking about maybe flashing over the wall, but realizes that Xmithie's right there, doesn't want to waste the cooldown. Instead, Team Liquid pick up a freebie.
Yeah, he got left because he actually started his recall a little bit too late. Got to have those synced up recalls. Sometimes you just want to put one extra ward down. Sometimes you want to get a little bit better position.
A little bit of greed.
Yeah.
Go a long way. Fortunately for Clutch Gaming, that's not going to really result in much for Team Liquid. The pick is just that. It is the pick. There's no objectives coming off the back of it. There's nothing they can force 5 versus 4. So in terms of errors, I guess that's one of the least impactful ones you could have. But at the same time, you got to make sure you're not giving away too many of those.
I would actually say it's probably the least impactful death that you could possibly have, because he's not somebody who's on like a 2-man killing spree. It's also the support, level 10, which has the lowest death timer out of everybody. So he's off back on the map, actually the fastest. So if you're going to lose anybody, yeah, Hakuho is probably the guy to lose.
With him back alive, that means Liquid is once again back to the same state they were in before, just with a 300 gold difference now. We'll see how well they can continue to defend up against this Clutch Gaming squad that controls almost the entirety of the map with only 45 seconds left before Baron spawns. And you can see that's on their minds right now, moving through the topside enemy jungle, sweeping out the wards, setting up for this big objective.
Yeah, and they just actually deleted all of the vision that's in the jungle there for Clutch Gaming, or for TL. And Clutch Gaming have set up their own. Looking for the red buff into the Baron. And Solo's already pushed his wave, and he's going to arrive pretty much just in time for the Baron here, as he kind of treks across the map, not having to use his TP. Ooh, Olleh, though.
Olleh taking a lot of damage there from Febiven.
Don't do it.
LirA,
Don't do it.
Oh, he had blood in his eyes. You
like,
could see it.
I was like, the Baron is about to be up, man. He's going to be forced back. He's not a threat to you. Just let him go.
Mulan theme could be heard playing faintly in the background. He was all the strength of a raging fire, Zyra, but luckily didn't decide to go in for that one. Summoner spell still available on Olleh. It would have baited him into a very bad situation. Clutch Gaming continue to control this top side of the map completely. Liquid recognizing the fact that Baron's live means you can't just concede this objective. You got to be willing to fight for it.
Yeah, and Apollo's going to rotate to the top side, put pressure on this turret, give them more space to get that Baron. Once you have those 2 turrets down, hold on though. Impact went in.
Using the Kled ultimate there, does end up getting the Swain ultimate out in exchange. LirA deciding to go right into the fight here, able to find Doublelift, gets him isolated. Doublelift forced to run over the wall, but Solo right there. And Doublelift is out, Impact is out, Team Liquid is in trouble. And Clutch Gaming is marching right down the mid lane towards the Nexus turrets.
And Solo's just on the opposite side of the fight. He's fighting Pobelter. He's like, oh, Doublelift, don't mind if I do.
Sure, why not be gifted this one? They take down the inhibitor. They don't have the minion wave there in the mid lane just yet, but they do have it topside. Febiven was prepping this while the rest of the team took down that inhibitor in the mid lane, and now Clutch decides they're going to go for double inhib.
Let's push it up. They don't have the Baron just yet, but they're going to be able to get this inhibitor. Solo is just buying so much room. He now has even more defenses to boot. It was just kind of a pit stop to get himself that Spectre's Cowl, and he's like, it's back to armor time. Stack that baby up. Make it so that he's so hard to kill, and the Mundo base damages. The longer he's alive, the more damage he's going to be doing with his rotating cooldowns and his W. So, yeah, just able to obliterate Pobelter to half HP, get through his shield once, and then finish off Doublelift. Very, very easy for the Mundo to navigate these fights in the backline once he gets there.
And remember, he's still got a damn stopwatch.
Yep.
If he puts himself in a bad spot, he can still buy a couple of extra seconds to potentially drop the aggro and get away. He is a force of nature so far in this game, and it's very hard to shut him down. When the only source of grievous wounds on the side of
they're gonna go for it
is impact. Let's see if Clutch Gaming can get themselves in here in time. Baron going to be dropping rather rapidly, already down to about half HP. Hakuho looking for the chance to maybe drop some big damage here in the fight. Oh! Guns! Doublelift down over the wall. Febiven grabs the kill onto Pobelter. Both Clutch Gaming carries already killing their counterparts. Impact going to be in some trouble now. He goes golden, but it's not going to be golden enough. Xmithie also out. The channel
TP.
can get himself away. The TP into the base will likely end it right here. Olleh, the last man standing, calls down the redemption, but they will not be redeemed today. Solo just waiting around for the rest of the team to arrive so they can put the final nails in the Team Liquid coffin.
And that is insane. Scrims be damned. Clutch Gaming come in. Apollo's like, you know what? Use his confusion on TL, and it is super effective.
Confuse him, abuse him. This guy has managed to take down Team Liquid in the same type of style. They beat Echo Fox yesterday 12-4, 6-1-3 on the Lucian. That is a kind of win that you can be proud of for Clutch Gaming.
And you can see Clutch very excited about that win there. TL, though, on the opposite side, that's a head scratcher for them. They're 4-1, sole possession of first place. Draft this composition that is pretty much full physical damage with a Trundle that can actually shred some resistances, but it's so hard to navigate this comp versus what Clutch Gaming drafted for themselves. I feel like if you're D-Lim in the back, you're really happy about the way that was drafted.
Clutch Gaming is such a group of giant slayers. Their name could not be more appropriate for when they just show up, come in clutch, and take down the teams that people don't expect them to be able to beat. Now they add another notch in the belt for Team Liquid. They knock them off of that spot. Like you said, 4-1. This is a team that was looking really good too, especially after that 22-minute win versus Echo Fox yesterday. And Clutch comes in, they play their game. Again, I want to applaud this team for not playing afraid, for not just being like, okay, we got to try to not allow Liquid to have their win condition, saying, no, we're going to win the game our way. And especially Apollo with that aggression, recognizing the opportunities to apply all that Lucian damage. Great stuff.
I think there's great things for pretty much every member of Clutch Gaming across the board. The fact that Apollo popped off on the Lucian, Hakuho had his flash burned level 1, pushed out of lane, got ganked, survived in that level 2-3, and he's able to be very effective in these team fights with pick and buying space for everybody else. And then Solo did the most damage in the game as the Mundo, and he's this gigantic source of just threat and pressure that got to the backline multiple times, had some good teleports, and I want to say LirA too had really good ultimates as well. The one that disengaged the top fight that allowed them to siege again, because that was the thing, is you need to have a quick fight start for TL, and LirA was having none of that today.
And let's not forget, it's not just the pressure that he had in the fight, it's the pressure that he had on the map for Solo. He was the one who draws 2 members down, including the jungler, that gets Clutch that early 20-something minute Baron, that then allows that lead to build from 2,000 up to 5K.
Yeah, and Solo's one of the people who died first. He was the first blood in the top lane and able to recover from that, stay even in CS on the Mundo, and then be effective in team fights. It's kind of always been Solo's biggest strength, is team fighting, using his ultimates and navigating them perfectly. It's just the lane phase is sometimes a little rough for him, but he's a really good team player.
Well, it all worked out for Clutch Gaming here today, and to hear more about how they took down the first place team, let's send it back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. And I'd like to welcome the Golden Guardian support, Matt, to the desk to help us break this one down.
Okay.
We heard it from those guys just there. team game, and ultimately Clutch Gaming takes down the #1 team in the league, Team Liquid. Top of the day, we were talking about the possibility of that team being ready for Worlds and whatnot.
Yeah, who
and
said
the
that?
split and the split now, am I right, Mark?
Hey, what'd I say, 12.5 over? I'm still fine on that.
Yeah, you still have a shot on the wins overall. But we did want to take a look at this draft, get some insight from you specifically, Matt, on how it played out. I know we have some qualms from the Team Liquid side.
Yeah, I mean, for the draft, I'm not really feeling TL's draft because they really needed a lot of execution-heavy stuff topside, but Kled and Mundo, I don't really know what kind of plays you're going for, and even like Trundle, Yasuo, it's good in mid lane. Like they did get the gank off, but they just stopwatched it and wasn't really much.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have 4 physical damage threats against a Mundo and Swain, who are both going to be itemizing some armor no matter what. Now they can kind of go extra hard on it, and that's going to be pretty terrible. And then the Morgana pick itself being pretty telegraphed when you pair it with the Mundo or the Trundle right away.
Right, because a lot of people flex Morgana. You can put him as the bot lane carry position in some sort of funnel, but Team Liquid can't threaten that. So I think when they pick the Morgana, you know it's going to Olleh. A lot of the draft falls in after that. And then the fact that so many top laners got banned so that they were full physical damage anyway, just, I think, turned into a bit of a disaster.
All right, that brings us to the beginning of the game where Hakuho, being a little aggressive on the invade, ends up blowing both of his summoners here before the lane phase even starts.
Yeah, and this is where it might have been a window of hope for Team Liquid because, Matt, I know you had a lot of thoughts on the way that Clutch was supposed to play this lane.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely didn't play it out too well, but it mostly stemmed from that level 1 play. Like, if I'm Zyra and I come to lane with no summoners, just 1 potion, I can't really bully as much. And yeah, this gank that came in, it felt like Hakuho should have died here. Like, maybe the bind lands, maybe he's just a free kill, but even so, this kind of just shows, like, the weakness in TL's draft because this is the lane that CG really needed to win, and they didn't win as hard as they should have, but it really just seemed like a smash for CG.
Right, in a sense, Team Liquid was set up to deal with a lane that should have been oppressive to, to the highest degree. Lucian, Zyra against that Morgana and the Ezreal. Even Doublelift in that one moment, handing kind of a free kill over when separating from his support. And yet it took all of that for Clutch Gaming to end up with some advantages that should have come easier.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a point that you can say Clutch Gaming maybe should have been a little bit better on that, but at the same time, Team Liquid did find some advantages in the early game, and you saw the gank topside that worked out for them, and they got a kill onto the Mundo, but with how generic, like just all physical damage their comp was, they had such a high barrier of execution to actually get a big enough gold lead without many hard winning lanes and easy ganks. It just made it so that you had to somehow find a million kills and a giant gold lead so that your team comp didn't get completely outscaled.
That absolutely did not happen for Team Liquid. In fact, those kind of execution errors continued to plague them, even with their macro game, in
Right.
some ways, handing advantages over to Clutch Gaming that just didn't need to be there.
Yeah, well, you think about a way that Team Liquid would try and win a team fight. It's like, well, if Kled dives into the Zyra and the Swain, that's probably not good, especially if he's going in with Yasuo. So actually, Team Liquid needs Kled to be able to kill Mundo, which is why they were going for this play. They send the Trundle and the Kled down, and honestly, the idea of this is kill Mundo, threaten with TP, stop the Baron. But they flood the gank on Mundo, they miss Bear Trap on a rope, they're not able to lock him down with Pillar, then they're trapped on the other side of the map with no options. And then once they've given up Baron, well, they're definitely not winning the split push war from there, and they've actually completely run out of win conditions here. They're contesting red buff from the jungle, Solar collapses, and they get wrecked.
That's kind of the game from there. I mean, there was, I think, about 15 more minutes, but there wasn't much else TL can do. And, I mean, you see just completely dominated in terms of the damage numbers. Mundo doing 19K. It kind of felt like that was the pick TL wanted to take in the draft, and after they took it away, there's a player cam on Impact, and he did this kind of shrug when the Kled was locked in, like, I guess this will work, hopefully, and it did not.
So here's the question then. Is this the first time that TL has kind of been exposed to the fact that they have only played standard? Well, not only. They did have the one Vladimir game, of course, but they have largely played standard so far this split. And for once, pigeonholing themselves into their own strategy kind of hurt them?
This might be the first time I remember it happening. There are enough like generically strong picks that you can probably play this way, and it's not like just because you're playing standard, you're always going to get countered out. But it is true that a lot of the stuff in the current meta is strong because you take it early and then flex it. Mm-hmm. Braum can go mid or bot. Morgana, like Matt was saying, can go bot or carry.
I would disagree that they're like kind of pigeonholing themselves, but they're definitely not utilizing their like first 2 picks too well. Like when they pick like Morgana and Trundle, like they're messing up by just throwing away their side lanes, throwing away like a lot of priority. They don't really have too good of an idea of what they need, I guess, early on in the draft, and it really kind of screws them over because later on they pick like Kled. They just don't really have a win condition going forward.
And I think Clutch Gaming just had good blind picks. Right?
Yeah.
They picked the Swain, TL didn't have a good answer. They picked the Mundo, TL didn't have a good answer. Both teams drafted standard.
Right.
This isn't TL getting exposed for playing standard. This is TL having bad counter picks and poor execution.
That's a good point. I do want to pull out for real quick and ask you a larger question around League of Legends at the professional level since we have you and we've got the time. Do you feel that top teams are going to be required to be able to play multiple strategies? For example, in EU, we do see kind of delineated, differences between teams. G2 being the funnel team, Misfits being the standard team, and Fnatic being the Mage Bruiser bot team. Do you think that you can choose one strategy, stick to it, and be successful as a pro team, or do you have to expand to more than one?
I think for these recent patches, is for sure you needed at least the understanding of what other teams can pull out. Because I feel like on stage a lot, what happens is a team comes on stage, they don't have any idea what the enemy's even thinking, like what they're trying to do, what their objective is in draft, and it really shows in like the really big stomps. Like they didn't really have a really strong plan, but it's really hard to prepare for these
I was going to say, I mean, how much havoc does that wreak in Champion Select when you are looking down the barrel of something that can be a support Morgana or an AD Morgana, or can end up going somewhere else?
I mean, it's interesting because there's been a couple times today where it did feel like the team's preparation for the enemy hadn't quite been there. The time that there was the Varus ban instead of the Kai'Sa ban, maybe from your game, as well as the time that they took the Shen away for FlyQuest, that was a good takeaway. So it does feel very important.
Yeah, and I've heard stories as well that scrims can just be super unreliable. You win 6 games in a row against Funnel, be like, we're great against it.
Right.
Or your opponent just really sucks at Funnel.
Right.
And then you run it on stage and you get blasted by someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's been such a small amount of time to prepare for this, and we're seeing the results on stage.
I can only imagine. Once again, Matt, thank you so much for joining us on the desk. We're jumping to a commercial break. When we return, Ezreal, Stixxay, and Biofrost will be bringing you Cloud9 versus Echo Fox from the NALCS Lounge on Riot Games 2. See you soon.
Just about ready to get that health boost. Solo could be in some trouble here, taking it back underneath the turret. First blood. Doublelift now going to take a lot of damage coming out from Apollo. Tries to get out. He's going to get himself the hourglass, but it's not enough. Right back underneath the turret as Impact comes in. Looks to take down Hakuho. He'll find himself one. Apollo going to be the next one to fall.
Okay, coming.
Trundle, kill Trundle.
Trundle flash. I have stopwatch.
Nice.
Hey,
LirA deciding to go right into the fight here, able to find Doublelift, gets him isolated. Doublelift forced to run over the wall, but Solo's right there. And Doublelift is out. Impact is out. Team Liquid is in trouble.
Yasuo is 1 HP. We win. I killed Yasuo.
Chase.
Clutch Gaming come in, Apollo's like, you know what? Uses confusion on TL, and it is super effective.
Welcome back to Remember This? During the 2015 Summer Split, Team Liquid and Team Impulse were locked in an epic team fight. Almost an hour into the match, it looked like Team Liquid were going for Dragon. Team Impulse swooped in to try and run interference, but it was merely a distraction as Piglet and Phoenix rushed towards the enemy Nexus, ending the game.
Piglet's into the base. He wants to end it right here. The Koreans of Team Liquid are pushing in. There's the turret. They're onto the Nexus. This is going to be the game. Team Liquid tied for first place, the North American LCS.